Hey there guys, our new anime begins in the era of war between mankind and the demons. The last standing demon lord was Leonis Death Magnus. He ruled out the capital Necrozoa. But the battle with the 6 heroes was closing in. The hero side had a great tree destroying demon soldiers. In return, those soldiers killed the humans as well. But the hero fired a healing arrow to save those soldiers from death. The battle was bending down to the hero's side, and Sherry reported to Leonis that every demon lord except for him had fallen. And the heroes had shifted their focus on them. Then there was a dragon who attacked their castle along with that tree, and Leonis recognized it was the great sage Archeal. Leonis was pissed off that those heroes had become slaves of those gods, so he wanted to kill all of them himself, but their Blackas, that black wolf, stopped Leonis because he is the only demon lord left and reminds him that the goddess of rebellion does not want to see him fall. Remembering that, Leonis took down his weapon and gave the victory to the humans and accepted his defeat, but in return he promised one thing, that he will return after 1,000 years to regain his throne. And that marked the end of the Demon Lord's era. After that, 1,000 years passed and 2 girls were exploring the remains of the demon castle, but their Celia received the call to retreat. Since they were only a scouting group, Regina had the same thought as the caller, but Celia was bent on finding the nest of the creatures known as voids. But right up ahead a statue fell off and the girls saw some other exquisite engraving along the wall, making them wonder if someone like a king was buried in here. But they didn't stop and kept moving forward and came across a door that had something written on it in an ancient language, so Celia took some pics to understand the writing to open it. And since it would take a few minutes, Regina decided to go the other way. Then suddenly when Celia touched the block it started to shine and the door opened on its own, and at the end there was a giant crystal with someone inside. Celia wanted to help him, but it was the demon king Leonis himself. Leonis still remembers his last meeting with Rosalia, the goddess of rebellion. She had told Leonis that a vessel for her power would be born in a human form and Leonis would have to find it. Rosalia was relieved that Leonis remembered it, so she left. And that brought Leonis back to consciousness, but he saw Celia was shooting at his crystal to free him. Leonis remembered his reincarnation spell and saw that it was perfectly completed. But Celia was stopping at nothing to free Leonis, but he mistook Celia for a robber and decided to kill her as a punishment. So Leonis broke off the crystal in a rot way that knocked Celia to the ground, but he got mesmerized by Celia's beauty, which was unrivaled even by Elf. There she regained her consciousness and saw a kid in front of her. Leonis couldn't understand what she was talking about, but then looking at his reflection, he realized he's the child himself. Leonis was shocked at first and thought his spell failed, but he realized that he came back as human kid. There Celia takes a quick look at Leonis if he's hurt somewhere, and then hugs him tightly and tells Leonis to rely on the big sis. Leonis saw it as utter preposterous for the Demon King to be hugged like this, but it felt nice and warm and he drifted out of his consciousness again. Then after waking up Celia gives him some biscuits to let him regain some strength because he fell unconscious out of hunger. Then Rosalia introduced herself to Leo and told him she's a swordswoman in training and a member of the 18th platoon at the 7th Assault Graydon's Excalibur Academy, and she's 15. So Leo introduced himself as Leonis Magnus, age 10. Then Celia assumed Leo was kidnapped by some voids, but Leonis didn't know there are any creature by that name. So Celia told Leo that voids appeared out of nowhere about 64 years ago, so the people thought they came from another world. And their purpose for coming here was also regarding those voids to find out any leads on them from these ruins. So, from the ancient word, Leo asked what year it was of the holy god's calendar. But Celia tells Leo that it is actually the 64th year of the unified human calendar. But suddenly, Regina told Celia about the void's appearance, and one of them got to her. Celia fired a few shots at it, but it had no effect. But Regina there comes with her big gun and pushed back that void, but it regenerated itself. So Regina shifted her holy sword cannon to even bigger cannon, and that blast finally did some damage to take it out. She was taking care of the voids, so Celia took Leo to get outside. Leo felt completely useless with that child's body and saw that his mausoleum had been destroyed by those voids. But their way got blocked by another void. It was a wyvern type, so Leo thought of protecting Celia even if it meant exposing his power, but Celia pushed back Leo to save him from that hit. And she was willing to die just to save him, and even though she was near her end, she was telling Leo to run away and save himself, and with that she took her last breath. Leo recalls that the same thing had happened to him before when Rosalia saved him too in a situation like this, so he brought out his staff and crushed the first one with gravity magic. As for another, he got piercing ice, and the last one wanted to run away, but Leo didn't show mercy and burned him to cinders. It took a lot out of him since he's a kid now. But he casts a spell on Celia to save her, which seemed to turn her into an undead or a demon. Then Regina called out Celia, but she couldn't give any response. And there Celia comes back to life and hugged Leo, but she got surprised herself looking at her belly, which was wide open earlier, so Leo made up that he healed her up using sorcery spell to heal. But sorcery is unknown to this world. For them it's only holy sword. Like Regina has, she has the holy sword that turns into cannon, and Celia thought Leo has the holy sword of healing. But unlike Regina, Celia didn't have any holy sword yet. Then Regina comes back after killing out her side of void, and Celia introduced Leo to her. She told Regina that Leo had amnesia and couldn't remember anything after he was kidnapped by those voids, so they took him along to get back to the city. There Regina told Leo to enjoy this chance to get all touchy with Celia. Leo gets embarrassed that Regina kept teasing him along the way, but then he saw the last shelter of the humanity. The seventh Aswalt Garden. But now that ends the very first episode of the anime, but stay tuned to watch the upcoming episode of this anime on my channel. And comment me in the comments section if you do want to watch the next episode of this anime. Till then, take care.